When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With twinspires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with twinspires. And now you can race to victory with twinspires tournaments.
Welcome back to the twinspires Racing Roundtable. It's a little bit different view today. Gotta love technical difficulties. But let's move on to what we're talking about in the roundtable today. We have Integration's bounce back win. And the Red Smith, we'll talk about his future season and if we expect improvement. We'll also look at a few things that caught our eye from the weekend and talk about Pool 1 of the Kentucky Derby future wager. And let's see, Vance, let's start things off with Integration, who got a win in the Red Smith. Are you expecting better in 2025 based off that win?
Well, I don't think I was alone in thinking that at the beginning of this year that Integration was going to prove one of the country's top turf performers, based on the way he started his career last season, winning his debut at Colonial Downs and then winning the Virginia Derby and Hill Prince Stakes. In retrospect, I should have been a bit more cautious given his relatively limited experience. He was favored in the Pegasus World Cup Turf in January, just off of those three efforts, and he finished out of the money there. And Shug McGahee, his trainer, hasn't minced words throughout the season that he's been less effective running on less than firm ground in some of the higher level spots he's been targeting. So, but I think after this victory in the Red Smith on Saturday, I do think this has opened up some doors for him going into next season, winning over 1 3/8 like he did. New York does have a strong stakes program for grass runners, and there's plenty of options in the 11 to 12 furlong range. Should Integration not make headway early in the season in slightly shorter events, like going 1 1/8 or 1 1/4. So with this versatility and distance that he's now shown, I think he does have the opportunity next season to hit some new heights.
James, what do you think?
Well, I mean, those are some good points that Vance made. And I agree that based on that performance at Saturday's Red Smith, he looks poised for a successful 2025 campaign, but he's got to prove it. It's clear based upon how well he ran when winning the Grade 2 Hill Prince last fall at Aqueduct. He's got 5 career wins, and all 5 wins have come at Colonial and Aqueduct. He started at those 2 venues 6 times, and he has 5 wins and a second in Arlington Million. From his 4 starts elsewhere, Churchill, Keeneland, Gulfstream, and Kentucky Downs, he's winless. The only time he managed to hit the board, he did so because somebody had to be third in a 6-horse Maker's Mark Mile last year. He was nowhere close to Master of the Seas or even the runner-up. So I want to believe. I do think, last year, like Vance said, he was just getting started. He was running at 1 1/8 distances. Now that he's got a whole year under him, and he looks like a 1.5 mile performer moving forward off of this 1 3/8 Red Smith, that I want to believe that Integration is going to be better next year at age 5. I mean, a big-time force in the American turf ranks, but he still has to prove it outside of Aqueduct and Colonial Downs.
I'm with you, James. I'm going to exercise caution here outside of Aqueduct and Colonial Downs, since that's where all of his wins have happened so far. And I think it's all about picking the right spots for him. But we'll see. We'll see if he turns a corner. If he shows up in the Pegasus World Cup Turf again, that'll be a big signal for me as to what to expect going forward. And James, I'll stick with you. Let's talk about other performances that caught our eye from the weekend. So who stood out to you?
Well, unraced since 2023, Bishop's Bay returned on Monday at Horseshoe Indianapolis, and he rallied from off the pace to win a conditioned allowance race. We'll see him in the outside in the Juddmonte colors, rallying on the outside to win going away by about a 2-length margin at 1 mile and 70-yard distance. This was his first start since last year in June. Bishop's Bay is a 4-year-old. He had been unraced for a year and a half. And just want to point out that off of this comeback performance, it's exciting to have him back, and he's another exciting prospect for 2025. Bishops Bay debuted in February of 2023 in a 6 furlong allowance, maiden special weight. Then he ran the following month in a 2-turn allowance, and he won both races at odds on. He ran in his third start, his stakes debut. He ran ahead second to Arcangelo, who won the Belmont and Travers off of that race in the Peter Pan. And then he came back and he ran second to Two Phils, who arguably ran the best race in the Kentucky Derby up on the pace, running second to Mage, and looked poised for a huge season. But unfortunately, he got hurt winning the Ohio Derby. So Two Phils, Arcangelo. Those are the only 2 horses to beat Bishops Bay in his 5-race career. I got to be excited to see him move forward off this comebacker, show more when he returns to stakes competition in his next start, probably. And, we got the top 3 from the Breeders' Cup Classic. We got Torpeda Anna. We got Dirt Mile winner Full Serrano. We got a lot of the next year promises to be an exciting year in the older horse ranks on the main track and, in the filly ranks too. So really excited to see Bishops Bay come back. He's got a lot of promise for Brad Cox.
Vance, who stood out to you?
Well, I'm going to go back and mention Shug McGahee again. In addition to saddling Integration in the Red Smith, the Hall of Famer saddled the runner-up in that race, Limited Liability. Also saddled the second-place finisher in the Hill Prince at Aqueduct on Saturday, Cugino. And then he also won the River City Stakes at Churchill Downs. That's a race he actually won for the first time 40 years ago when it was run on dirt. But he did saddle Battle of Normandy to a victory in the River City. So this kind of continues an interesting trend about McGahee. And I looked this up. His last 11 graded stakes winners dating back to late 2022 have all but one of them have been on turf races. So kind of an interesting trend with the kind of stock that he has now. And, a lot of his success on the grass the last 10, 15 years has been with the Homebreds campaign by Jockey Club chairman Stuart Janney. And Janney's kind of begun the process of winding down his thoroughbred holdings. He revealed recently that his children have shown no interest in continuing the stable over the long term. So Janney dispersed more than $2.6 million worth of blood stock at Keeneland this month. And, this is kind of a, the famed white and cherry silks of the Janney family that have been sported by the likes of Hall of Famer Ruffian and Kentucky Derby winner Orb. They're going to be fading away over the next decade. And, it'll be sad to see them go, but they will. We will have some pleasant memories of them after their racing stock that they still have arrives and departs over the next 6 to 10 years.
And Battle of Normandy, I mean, he's an up and comer. He had won 3 allowances in a row. He'd be truly quality at Saratoga 2 back, and that horse came right back and won the Colonial Cup in the Grade 3 Singspiel. So he's a real up and comer too. So hopefully Integration can move forward for Shug, and he's got Battle of Normandy to gear up for a potential big 2025 season as well.
And real quick, I'll mention Palo Lobo has been a hot barn at Churchill this month, and he had a pretty big weekend as well. He had upper case win the Dream Supreme in her stakes debut and really has improved in her last couple of starts for Palo Lobo. Also got a win for Evan Roman. That was his first win in 20 mounts at Churchill since moving his tack from Northern California. And also on Sunday, Nom de Plume won an allowance for Palo Lobo. So right now, this month at Churchill, he is 3 for 7 and has an 18% win percentage for the year. So one to watch out for when he shows back up at Churchill later this month and possibly later in the winter as well. And let's stick with Churchill, but talk about the Kentucky Derby. We had Pool 1 of the Future Wager close, Breeders' Cup weekend. So let's talk about the results and what your takeaways were. Vance, what did you notice?
Well, given the fact that the pool closed shortly before post time for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile on Friday, I would imagine that longtime fans of trainer Bob Baffert had to be especially pleased getting 29-1 on Citizen Bull, the eventual juvenile winner, and gaming the juvenile runner-up closed at 26 to 1. So great prices there on both of those colts. I would probably lean towards gaming as far as longer term potential, but that's just me. Others could have a separate opinion. On the flip side, those that back juvenile favorites East Avenue and Chancellor McPatrick undoubtedly felt that they got the short end of the stick price-wise. East Avenue was sent off at 11 to 1 and Chancellor McPatrick 9 to 1. Both of them ran well up the track in the juvenile. Their prospects might revive over the winter, though, but still, it's not great value compared to the Baffert colts. And basically, it was kind of a pick your price for every other individual entry in the pool. I mean, those who took a $2 flyer on the European Import Hill Road, who rallied for third in the juvenile, they're going to be rewarded more than $554 on a $2 win ticket if he somehow improves over the winter and makes the starting gate and wins the Kentucky Derby next spring. So kudos for those that plucked a couple of dollars on that horse, and good luck to them.
Yeah, there were 4 individual interests that closed at less than 25 to 1 odds. Obviously, Vance went over Chancellor McPatrick. I mean, to me, coming out of that race, if you had backed him at 9 to 1, you got to be a little worried because that was his first 2-turn start, and he basically just belatedly rallied for 5th. But I will say, in his defense, the pace dynamics didn't work out for him when East Avenue stumbled at the start. The top 2 ran 1-2 the whole way on a moderate pace, so he's still eligible to show more at 2 turns next year. East Avenue, he lost all chance when the ground went out from under him. He barely kept the jockey on. He stumbled real badly out of the gate. He was a brilliant front-running winner of the Breeders' Futurity, so I'm just drawing a line through that effort. Jonathan's Way, now that's the runner that I'd be a little bit concerned about because he got out of the gate just fine. He set a good 5th in the early stages of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then he weakened badly to be a well-beaten 7th. And, that was his first 2-turn start. He had been impressive in a 6-furlong maiden and the 1-turn mile Iroquois, but got a little concerns about him at 2 turns. Another under 25 to 1 was Sovereignty. He broke his maiden by 5 lengths in the street sense. I thought he was still green that day. Obviously, he's going to have to get faster, earning a 93 Bristol speed rating, but he's got plenty of time to keep increasing those numbers. I think that was great value on him. And I will mention there was an unnamed maiden in there. A $3.2 million yearling purchase for Baffert by End of Mischief out of an APND mare. He closed at 38 to 1, and they caught up with, or 39 to 1, excuse me, the one mutual interest. And they caught up with Baffert during Breeders' Cup week, and he said the horse is progressing nicely towards his first start. So I thought I'd give an update on that runner who was a little bit of an unknown in the pool.
You've covered a lot of the points that I was going to make as well. And as far as gaming and Citizen Bull, gaming was my topic in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Obviously, Citizen Bull had the better day. I still think that gaming is an interesting potential for the Kentucky Derby, by game winner out of a Johannesburg mare. But also Citizen Bull by Into Mischief has 2 Kentucky Derby winners already with Mandaloon and Authentic. So certainly good pedigrees there. And then Kalia Bay was 90 to 1. I feel like maybe could be one to still watch out for. And other than that, I'm kind of just looking at the Baffert runners right now as far as value. All those other prices, we saw Sovereignty win the street sense, but 23 to 1, I don't think I would take that right now because I feel like that will be a long shot if he does make the Derby field. But we still have a lot to go the rest of this season and next. And then as far as Pool 2, I believe those dates are November 28th to December 1st for Pool 2. So if you're interested, be sure to check that out at twinspires.com or the TwinSpires app when that opens up. I guess that's the weekend of Thanksgiving. Yes.
Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah. That's my favorite pool. I love that. But that's also the only sire wager pool. So, but watch out for that at Thanksgiving weekend.
And James, you play this every year, right? And end up hitting the super out of this? Or can you play the super in the later pools? I always forget.
No, you can't. You can't play the super.
Okay, you play the super and just win it on your own.
I'll just mention, I like the Pool 2 coming up. I buy $10 win tickets and give them as like stocking stuffers to my family. So I always love that as a gift. And
that's a good idea. I might try that. Or just I'll have you make the pick since you're so good at Derby.
What I usually do is I might have 4 or 5 or 6 of them. I put them all in an envelope, shuffle them up so there's no favoritism. Everybody picks one.
Nice. I love the Christmas gift idea. So that's for everyone else. You can do that as well for Christmas. But that's all the time we have today for the Racing Roundtable. We'll have the Claiming Crown on Saturday at Churchill Downs. Twinspires will be providing live coverage, so check that out on our social channels. And we'll be back next Tuesday to recap the Claiming Crown and other stakes races as well.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With Twinspires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twinspires. And now you can race to victory with Twinspires tournaments.